All right, got everybody's attention, ready to go? I know we're the last thing standing between everybody and happy hour, so we'll make this fast, but it's going to be good. First and foremost, thanks for coming to the Safety Best Practices Lessons Learned from our Leadership session. My name is Garrett Schimmel. I run a business called Equipment Watch, and I would like to introduce you to these guys in just a second. A little bit about the layout for this session. It's a little bit different from probably what we've done at A&P before. We're taking a model from some other industries, and we're going to be presenting brief case studies. There really won't be time for questions during and between each case study. They'll be consecutive. If we have time at the end, we do encourage questions. But ultimately, you're going to see very consistent content from each one of these folks. We've got 7 panelists, along with 7 case studies as well. Okay. Quickly introduce everybody. We've got Tim Truex from Kokosing, the midsize equipment manager. Tim runs a team of about 35 folks, 40 folks. His background or his education is in electrical engineering and business management, and he also has an MBA from Ohio State. Jason, who you guys have already seen today, is currently shop manager for Trailer Brothers, where he's been in that position since 2009. Prior to being shop manager, held various positions at Trailer Brothers. He holds several crane certifications and was honored by Construction Equipment Magazine's Under 40 in Construction Equipment. John DePorter is equipment manager with AECOM, and he's currently posted at Black Thunder Mine in Northeast Wyoming. He's been a CEM since 2012 and is also a safety trained supervisor. Adam Ralph is a fleet maintenance engineer for Trailer Brothers with over 8 years experience with many types of equipment. Currently responsible for regulatory documents, telematics, oil sampling programs, and a whole lot of other stuff. Adam is a graduate of Purdue University. Don Swayze is COO of Schlauch. He's been in the construction industry since 1979, basically forever. Held roles of laborer, truck driver, a whole lot of jobs, fantastic jobs. He's been with Schlauch specifically since 1996. Steve Nestor is the estimator and project manager at Schlauch as well, where he began working in 1993 as an equipment operator. In 1995, he took over a small division, which he still oversees. And Kevin Reimert is fleet coordinator there as well. He attended Universal Technical Institute and is graduated with a certified diesel technician degree. And in 2008, he began managing the fleet of on and off-road equipment. So with that, you have a good sense of who's going to be talking today, and Tim will kick it off for us. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, I don't know if I can sit and talk, but I'm going to try. As Garrett said, my name's Tim Truex. I work for Kokosing Construction. I've been there about 22 years. Hang on. Oh, I got it. 1 second. Hello? Tim? Yeah. I'm in the middle of something right now. Right now? Okay. Yeah, boss. Yeah, we'll make her happen. Whatever it takes. You got it. All right. See ya. Bye. Sorry about that. Let's see. I sent John home. The boss is sending a truck. He wants these beams that we ended up saving off the bridge. Ryan, Jason, either one of you guys ever ran a grade all before? No, I mean, you got a lawnmower. You got a car, right? It's like a car with forks. So hop in that thing, run around a little bit, and just when the truck shows up, we got to get them beams loaded. All right? Cool? All right. How many times does that happen on the job site? Too many. So we looked at this problem. We've got definitely certain types of equipment. There's groups of equipment that either OSHA or possibly your company mandates that only trained operators operate. Cranes, obvious example. Telehandlers, like my corny example, another good example. CDL vehicles. Untrained operators in these pieces of equipment are a danger to themselves. They're a danger to traveling public, other workers on the job site, and also the equipment, right? Can tear up the equipment. So we wanted to limit, right now, before this implementation, it was up to the project superintendent or project management to determine whether the operators had the proper training to hop in that piece of equipment and actually run it safely. We wanted to look at different options to limit access of actually starting that piece of equipment to only trained operators. I feel really loud. So if I am, I'm sorry. So we looked at some different options. A few OEMs offer somewhat of an electronic access today. John Deere K models are a good example. I know I'm not supposed to throw out manufacturers' names, but that's a well-known example of a 10-digit keypad. You can enable a PIN that only people with that PIN can access that piece of equipment and enable the ignition. That's great until that PIN maybe gets passed around. You'd have to have some type of implementation of changing the PIN on a regular basis or something like that. There's also third-party solutions. Another company makes similar type of equipment that goes on, their target market is forklifts in a warehouse environment or manufacturing environment. That's great, but updating them remotely becomes a challenge because they're designed to work on Wi-Fi within the plant. Do we develop something in-house? Anything's possible if you throw enough money at it, right? So we looked at our telematics solution that we already had in place. We have card readers that tie into the ignition on the piece of equipment. So we already know who's starting the equipment. We know what training our operators have, and that is tracked in our HR database in our ERP system. And it was a matter of marrying the two together. I had to put some cost on there, but that cost really doesn't represent the implementation of this actual feature. It was a matter of development costs behind the scenes of taking information that we already have and tying that to the equipment operator's card. There it is. So there's a couple pictures. What we've got are RFID card readers, similar to what you'd have to get into your office building. That is, the card is carried by the operator. It's assigned to the operator, and his training ties to different categories of equipment. So if he hasn't had training, like Ryan, on that grade all, he can swipe his card to his heart's content, but that piece of equipment will not start. Does it work? Yes, it works great, as long as our people still follow the process of once the training's complete, that gets updated in the HR master. If the superintendent is starting the piece of equipment for their operators, obviously that's a short circuit to the system, but that boils down to accountability, and we feel this is a very good solution for securing the equipment, making sure only qualified people are operating what they should be. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow there, too. Our dilemma, our 7-minute case study, frozen aerosol, air horns, doing the right thing. The problem was, evidently, it happened in a joint venture job. We had a particularly cold winter up in the Northeast. Air horn in the yard, tugboat, I can't remember, froze. So the foreman superintendent tried to do the right thing to thaw that air horn out so that they could take it back out, use it safely. What they did was took it and threw it up on the dash of the truck like you would your sandwich. Sun coming in through the windshield, the defroster probably on, causes the internal gas, the CO2, in that can to rise past the point at which it blew up. When it did, it went around the cab like a rocket, knocking out windows, knocking out some trim, tearing up some dash. and could have been potentially a very dangerous situation had he decided to throw the air horn up on the dash, drive down to the store, get a cup of coffee, come back, especially in Northeast where there's a lot of people, probably in the morning, I'm assuming, where there would have been families going to school, parents going to work. Could have been very, very dangerous. OEM solution, we decided none. The manufacturer's warning on the canister and in the associate MSDS warn of excessive heat over 120 degrees. We've probably all seen that on a can at one time and wondered why it was on there. Didn't really process with me until after I saw this. But it specifically warns not to take those aerosol canisters above 120 degrees. You think about the sun coming in on the dash, the defroster hitting the bottom of it, yeah, it definitely could do that. In-house solution, yes. Safety bulletin was issued to all the companies, partners, and projects, and safety stand-down was conducted. If it happened once, it's probably going to happen again. I would have been honest with you, never thought it would have even happened once. But to give my give back to the industry, I circulated that to my buddies. I think Kirby got it, and Carl, I think, from your company. Yep. And I just found out today from someone that it had happened with you guys.
Yep.
And he had told me that they had reviewed that.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe that that happened to two people the same way. It's you know. Total cost, we're going to say $1,000, and labor, yeah, it's in the $1,000 to get it done. It's just, you don't think about the little things, the stored energy just in an air horn that you're trying to thaw out that'll work so you can help your crew work a little safer. Inherently, that process wasn't thought through. It was good at heart. It just didn't get carried through. So, you know, the takeaways, I guess, is think through the whole process. And when you have something like this, pass it around to your buddies, the people you meet here, the business cards you get. Don't be shy about sharing that stuff. It might save a life, definitely. Thank you.
Well, you're not kidding about. On our project in northeastern Wyoming, we were experiencing excessive equipment damage. We actually had a couple of trucks that the operations crew would put onto the side. Thank goodness we didn't have any injuries during that, but as we all know, the equipment damage adds up really quickly, takes away from the bottom line. So we got together as a management group and we looked at all kinds of different solutions, what we were trying to come up with. One of the things that we found is that all of our incidences were happening in the same time of day. It was mid-mornings and mid-afternoons to quitting time. Of course, we've been working 6 days a week, double shift operation, 10 to 12 hours a shift. So one of our safety committee groups came up with a 10, 2, and 4. And basically, we wanted our employee involvement in this. We wanted the supervision buy-in with it. There are OEM solutions out there that you can find. They have some real neat stuff out there with eye movement and with seats that vibrate and different options that are available, but we were pretty well set on trying to come up with an in-house solution. We came up with this through our joint safety committees and management groups, and we began training our operators, and every day during their shift we would have an assigned operator get on the radio and ask for a safety topic at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. This brought real good awareness on site to the on-site hazards. We may have had wet roads at one time or ice and snow at one time, A berm was missing. The operators were able to pick up the hazards within their own working areas. And it also just seemed to wake everybody up. And you'd always seem to have a real good conversation over this safety topic. There'd be back and forth between different operators and different pieces of equipment. So we felt that it worked out real well for us. We know that we have decreased our incidents and our equipment damage by a minimum of 50%. I wanted to put down 75 to 80% on this, but the best I could come up with is about 60. So we have continued employee participation and the engagement. It's been a key to the program. This 10, 2, and 4, along with some other initiatives we took on our training side, has just helped us to eliminate the incidents almost totally. Assigned employees just tasked with calling for ongoing safety topics throughout the shift, and it seems to keep the safety awareness up and the employee involvement at a high point.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Adam Ralph. As the introduction already said, but work for Trailer Brothers along with Jason there. If you're not familiar, Trailer is heavy civil contractor. Kind of our focus is on high-risk applications, projects like bridges, tunnels, and some marine work. One of our case studies that I'd like to present, one of the problems that we had was basically access egress accidents facing cranes in particular here, slips, trips, and falls. And it's across pretty much all equipment, but we had to start somewhere, and one of the focuses first was cranes. So that's what I'll focus on here. The problem came about, or started noticing, I guess, just mainly through bad accidents, whether it's back injury, hip, leg, throughout the years, and that trend kind of started showing its head. And then, in addition, with some of our other safety programs, we've had near misses reported, and also just safety suggestion cards from the operators or oilers or mechanics themselves. And so we identified the problem. We wanted to tackle it and put it to a stop, or show some improvement. So it'd be great if there was a cut. It was cut and dry, but it wasn't that way, and we're still battling today. But either way, the main reason it was such a broad it's such a broad complicated issue is diverse fleet, many manufacturers, many models, many vintages, and basically so we were hoping we could go to the OEM, the individual OEMs, and find a solution there. And that's where we started, and that was not possible. So what we did was we then looked for a third-party solution, and partly succeeded at that. Found different handrail systems, components that are purchased over the that are on the shelf items, and that takes care of the handrail system. But then that does not take care of how you're going to attach that to the crane itself, the car body. So then through some in-house and also third-party engineering, and basically just following some already established OSHA construction 1926 standards, and also ABS standards, kind of just went as conservative as possible and pulled the most stringent criteria from those standards. So that was the handrail package, and that goes on top of the house of the crane, and also you can see it there in the picture, but just in and out of the cab itself. One of those packages, these are rough numbers, but total cost was $3,250 to outfit one machine, and then the that's done on site assembled on site and installed on site, and that's in 6 man-hours plus is what it was coming to. And that we saw a significant improvement in that, and then it kind of kept us on that same path. And we've since, you can kind of see it in the picture there between the belly weights and the tracks. There's some black platforms there. It's like a fiberglass grip strut, and it's good footing. It helps for egress access, and more often it helps with serviceability for our maintenance. So those are some of the things. And actually, since then, we've also painted. The leading edges on there are yellow, so they stand out. There's picking eyes on the belly weight. Any trip hazards that we couldn't eliminate, we've at least tried to draw some attention to them and highlight them basically. Come on. Well, if this turns. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a solution for us. It wasn't our first thought, but given the situation, it worked great for us. It's definitely decreased our incident rate as far as accessing and servicing equipment. We've along with that, was something we really didn't even focus on or think about, but it really did improve employee morale too. The crane operator and the oiler's suggestions through the safety suggestion cards, the yellow cards, and reporting of the near misses, they appreciate that it didn't fall on deaf ears. We actually did something about it, and appreciate that we took the time. Even though it wasn't easy to just purchase something, to follow through and get it done, and that's what we did. So that was that was an added bonus. Additionally, we started with cranes, and then we branched out and with forklifts, outfitted some tugboats, and the fight and the battle continues, I guess. But that's our kind of solution. But that's really not the solution. The solution needs to come from the OEM, and through this group right here, through AMP, that's the platform that us, the contractor, and hope I'm sure we're not alone, but we can stand together and actually gain some traction with the manufacturers and actually listen and take into account access, egress, in their design. I know they already do, but maybe our voice will help take it to another level, especially for serviceability also. So that's all I got. Thank you. Nice job.
Yeah, my name is Don Swayze. I'm with Schlauch. I'm going to try and tell a story. Our problem is probably similar to what you guys have. So the incident and the frequency of incident and the complacency, I'll get into that a little bit, but the real story is sort of finding the catalyst for change inside of your company for influencing the safety culture. So the story on that particular day, Garrett mentioned my experience, and I put all that in my profile because I'm very proud of coming from a labor to where I'm at today. But with that, a lot of habits and a lot of beliefs are formed over that period of time since 1979 for many people. So my general superintendent probably has 30 plus years of experience, and we had instructed our safety support to go out and assess a job for us on a Saturday morning, 15 haul units, high production job, everybody's fatigued, all the things that you guys talked about, right place to watch for risk. This job had 4 people on it. I was on the other project, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he said to me, "Oh my God, I just had a rollover." And he said, "Everybody's okay." And I said, "What happened?" And he said, "The log gave way." And what he was telling me was, in his mind, he believed that the operator was riding over a pile. There was a log on the low side of the machine. The log kicked out, and that was the root cause of the rollover. And that was fascinating to us because that really became the catalyst for change for the story that I'm about to tell you. So we looked at that, we said the law gave way, okay, that's a rollover, and we got curious about rollovers. That particular day, I also got angry with Kevin, our fleet manager, because what I really wanted at that point was a trailer set up with the proper rigging so I could deal with these rollovers when they occurred. So it's starting to get crazy, but I'm talking about beliefs, okay? Looking at our incidents, through our company's history, we'd had 18 rollovers, including a fatality. So it was worthy of our time, something to focus on, right? So we started to focus on, rollovers in the culture, but we realized it was much bigger than that. We took a pragmatic approach, as reasonable and as logical as we possibly could be, but the trigger for this particular exercise in this project was the log gave away. So, a point that I learned in this process was to look for some dynamic for big change. We found a lot of gaps in our knowledge from leadership right on down. We learned as a team that we had those beliefs to overcome, that we had gaps in knowledge. We had rituals that we'd performed, and I was teasing the gentleman from Volvo here, but one of the things that'll rattle those challenges, or one of the things we did back in those days, we have a fleet of 35 and 40 ton articulated haulers. And in our seasoning and our belief system, we believe that they were designed to roll over. And some of you guys may be able to relate to that, okay? So, and I believe that for sure with my experience. So what I did was I sent an RFI to Sweden, and I asked Sweden to send me back the manual so I could train my people on how to roll these trucks over properly and how to stand them up properly. And obviously Sweden didn't send anything back that said anything like that. And that was the beginning of challenging our belief system and our, what we thought was right. And then even at the end of the day, if they were designed to roll over, we started asking ourselves, is that what we really want? And the answer was no. So we started looking warts and all at our truth. We had top-down support from the owner right on down, but we weren't really sure what to do. We learned that as a company, we were measuring compliance, and we had all the right records, and we had everybody dotted up, and they were all in the database. And our incident rates continued to climb. Our problems continued to grow, and we needed to do something. The other thing we flushed out in that process was a real culture of fear. We decided that the plan was, if you had some sort of a safety screw up, or you were going to do something that violated our policy, we needed to write you up, and if we did it enough, we're going to terminate your employment too. So we had to sort of eradicate our fear in the process. What we ended up concluding at this period of time was that we had an incredible effort to try and be a safe company, but we had really poor results.
Yeah, through our efforts of, Steve Nestor with Schlauch, about 22 years at Schlauch. As we started this rollover project, identifying these 18 rollovers and the fatality we had, that ended up probably in the spring of 2014. In June of 2014, we had this truck rollover. It was the same area the gentleman had been backing into all morning long. It was very flat. But as he was raising the body, the back tandem sunk 12 to 18 inches into the ground, soft spot between a couple of rocks. He tried to drop the body real quick, but it just wouldn't go down fast enough, and basically everything just hung in the air at that point. And, luckily, he stayed in the truck. The weld at the bottom of the hoist for the bed broke, and as you can see, the bed hit the ground, and the cab remained upright. And luckily, he was safe. He didn't hurt himself. Through our accident investigation, we realized, we looked back at the driver's record and realized he had multiple backing incidents. Was told about talking on the cell phone while he was working numerous times. And he had missed some key training sessions, which one of them happened to be about backing and level dumping. He was noted as the apology SME. I think Don had coined that phrase. We did lose the truck, cost us some money. The driver found another job at that point, but we did have a lot of training opportunities and a lot of information to share with the rest of the group. We did acknowledge this setback and a few others, and we found that the key to this was using these setbacks to train other people and spread the word a little bit. We also had a knowledge gap in the field. We were moving pretty quickly, trying to change things, and we realized we had to slow down and share the information. We learned that, when an accident happens, it was good not to get hung up on the accident or, play the whole blame game. Rather find out the root cause, figure out how to keep from being prevented or from happening again, and most importantly, use the accident as a tool for educating people. One thing you always hear in our company now is if it's a near miss or an accident, was it an unsafe condition or an unsafe act? In this particular situation, the condition was very flat. There was one unsafe spot there, but our findings were pretty much that the driver wasn't paying attention to his job responsibility. Most likely was talking on the phone, and we believe he was actually moving backwards while the bed was raising up, which made it worse. In this situation, the unsafe condition was pretty easy to point out. The unsafe act were multiple issues.
As Steve mentioned, our everyday lives, we work in unsafe conditions, and where the money shot is in the decisions that we make in these unsafe conditions. What we have on the slide there is a tool that we used to help shape our safety culture. It's a very simple but effective pyramid there. You'll see that it's a tool to utilize when you have identified your hazards. You identify your hazards and you can use this tool to actually deal with them. What this pyramid will show is the effectiveness of the controls there. You'll see at the top, the elimination of the hazard is obviously going to be your most effective. Unfortunately, in most scenarios, including myself, I'll give a little brief story here later, but most cases we tend to go right to PPE, which is actually the least effective. There's some other ones in the middle there with engineering controls, and also administrative workplace work rules. We kind of reference them as kind of the always and never scenarios. Always do this, never do that. Create a work rule in the field. Engineering controls are a different way, because you can't always eliminate the hazard. Just sometimes you're going to have to work in that environment. We've utilized this here hierarchy of controls on a couple different levels at our company. I believe the biggest area that we've had kind of our biggest bang for buck with the tool here was at the frontline employee level. We were able to empower our employees to make those good decisions in the unsafe conditions by using this here hierarchy of controls. I know me personally, I covered in our morning huddles. I'll have my technicians actually identify their tasks and their hazards associated with it, and then first thing I'll ask them, can you eliminate it? If it's no, is there a control we can put in place? And I'll just go right down that pyramid. The last thing we get to is PPE. So just baking that into your frontline employees and having them think that way has really gained some traction for us as a company. The other area that has been effective for us is at the leadership level. A tool like this is a great visual, and it keeps a very consistent message and clear direction with your employees as far as where we're going as a company with the culture, how we're going to handle these unsafe conditions, and how we're going to approach them and try and eliminate the unsafe acts. My example that I wanted to give was an example in our yard. I happen to be the competent person for our main campus, our facility there, the shop and yard. Had a truck driver come to me the one day, and his comment to me was, somebody's going to get run over in this yard. And we start pretty early in the morning, probably not uncommon to most of you guys. Usually 5:30 in the morning is when we start getting some activity in our yard. And naturally, this time of the year, it's pretty dark. So we had really dark conditions in the early AM and also in the later hours of the day, kind of in the late afternoon, early PM. A lot of foot traffic. We got a lot of guys on the ground reporting to the shop, to the actual yard. A lot of guys doing pre-trips on their trucks. It was also a part of our fenced-in facility is employee parking as well. So there's a lot of people on the ground in those conditions. Blind spots, a lot of traffic, dark conditions. My initial reaction pre this hierarchy of controls was to, I think I actually sent out an email the next morning. Starting now, me as the competent person, here's this PPE requirement. Everybody's got to wear a Class 2 vest. That was a way. It was certainly at the bottom of the pyramid here as we're discussing. But it really didn't fix anything. So after we implemented some of these tools here, one being this pyramid, we've re-looked at the hazards, and today we actually have an engineered lighting plan to actually illuminate the yard better. We have implemented and enforced a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit to deal with the late arrivals, the guys showing up late, kind of speeding through. The thing with the speed limit that I thought was really neat to do was the speed limit was already posted at 5 miles an hour, but it was never really enforced. And I had started that kind of one person at a time, just nipping away at it. And the comment I kept making to everybody was, if you're doing 5 miles an hour, you've either got to want to hit somebody or somebody's going to want to get hit. I don't know if you try and do 5 miles an hour, it's actually pretty slow. So we've really gained some traction there with those particular hazards. And even with the blind spots, we had put some work rules in place with my particular group. We have some rather large trucks, RPM trucks, 26-foot box truck. We got the service trucks with the cranes, welders. Parking them outside the garage creates blind spots. We have sea containers in the yard. We've rearranged some things to try and eliminate some of those blind spots. The moral of that story was, instead of just jumping right to PPE, take the time to think about, can we eliminate it? If we can't, are there any controls? Just go right down that pyramid, and you should get a good result out of it.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, guys. We have about 20 minutes left. You guys up for some questions?
I still have 2 more slides.
Go for
I'm
it.
going to chop these out.
All
So
right.
there is some good news. On the solution side of things, we did engage cat safety services, very high quality as far as employee engagement, to do a speak up, listen up. They challenge the way you measure your safety metrics. Graham Company is our provider, but you guys all have insurance. At the end of the day, most everybody has someone that'll do safety audits for you, to engage them and bring them forward for education. Our leadership stepped up, and then you can see some of the other investments that we've made over the period of time. And then just wrapping up, did want to get to the happy ending here. We haven't had any rollovers. We did get a 14% reduction in accidents. Our folks, we've got 12 people that have passed the STC, and you guys can see the rest. If I had to leave you with a couple of things as a leader, what I look at, I'm asking the question, at the end of the day, who's coaching the coaches? And I would ask you to do the same thing. Upstream activities that can make a difference, we tried to describe some of them for you. At the end of the day, the concept of accountability wasn't working for us. It was just producing fear. Inspiring people as a leader to take it is really what's paid off. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. Questions? Do you guys have any questions? Katie, do we have a microphone? Any questions for the guys up here? If not, all right. Well, thanks so much, guys. I hope you guys appreciate the new case study format. These guys were very transparent, very measured in what they shared. So I was really excited by their commitment to that transparency. So thanks again for coming out. And a few items left to share with you guys. So end of the day, 5:30 tonight. Just a quick reminder that there are going to be 2 buses arriving that will be going to Bar Louie. So Bar Louie is about 4 blocks that way. Great little walk. Still good weather. If you want to leave a little bit earlier than that, feel free. Once you arrive, A&P will be providing 2 drink tickets for all participants as well as appetizers.
We're going to go to the hall.
Once you arrive, you'll also be getting we're going to be playing a game called Dine Around. And each person will get a card. That card will have a number on it, which will correspond to a restaurant. It's an opt-in dinner option, but basically it's time for us all to meet some new people. So you can always opt out if you choose not to go with everybody, but encourage everybody to play. Buses will wrap up at 9:30. God forbid you have to walk 4 blocks, but if you need to, you can. You can always Uber as well. But the buses will be done at 9:30. And that's it, guys. So you've got some time to wrap up some work before the buses leave and an hour. Thanks again for your time.